Have you ever noticed how freeing it feels when you don't check your phone after posting something? When you don't replay a conversation to see if you sounded smart enough, funny enough, cool enough? Not because you're above it all, not because you stopped caring, but because just for a moment you felt safe inside yourself. Today we're talking about the subtle art of not needing validation, and why people who embody it tend to feel strangely magnetic. Not loud, not arrogant, just grounded. And if you've ever wondered, how do I become that without turning cold or disconnected? This video is for you. Let's start with a truth that might surprise you. Wanting validation is not a flaw. It's human. Your nervous system was literally shaped by approval. As kids, we learned what was safe through faces, voices, and attention. When caregivers smiled, soothed, and mirrored us, our brain tagged that as security. When they withdrew, criticized, or stayed unpredictable, our brain learned that connection can disappear. And so we adapted. So if you seek approval, it doesn't mean you're weak. It often means you're wired for belonging. And belonging at its core is survival. But there's a difference between enjoying validation and needing it. Needing validation often sneaks in through everyday habits that look normal. You over-explain your choices so people won't misunderstand you. You say yes when your body says no. You edit your personality depending on who's in the room. You don't rest unless you've earned it. You measure your day by how impressed other people seemed. And here's the painful part. The more you chase external reassurance, the less you trust your internal signals. It's like turning the volume down on your own instincts and turning the volume up on everybody else's opinions. Over time, you can start living as a performance. Not a dramatic one, a quiet one. The kind where you're always subtly asking, am I okay? Did I do it right? Do you still like me? So why is it so irresistible when someone doesn't seem to need validation? It's not because they're aloof. It's because they feel stable. When a person doesn't outsource their worth, you can relax around them. You don't feel like you have to manage their mood with compliments. You don't feel pressured to constantly reassure them. There's less emotional bargaining in the air. And psychologically, that stability communicates something powerful. I can be with myself, so I can be with you without using you. That's a big deal, because a lot of social interaction is actually invisible negotiation. If you approve of me, I'll feel okay. When someone isn't negotiating like that, it feels clean, spacious, honest. Also, this is important. People who don't need validation tend to be harder to manipulate. If you're not desperate to be liked, you're less likely to abandon your boundaries for approval. And that kind of self-respect is compelling. Not because it's perfect, but because it's rare. Let's slow down and look at what validation chasing really costs. First, it creates anxiety. Because if your worth lives outside you, it's always at risk. People change their minds. Friends get busy. Comments don't come. Partner gets distant. A boss doesn't praise you. And suddenly your internal world starts shaking. Second, it creates resentment. Because when you keep giving to earn love, you eventually feel angry that others aren't giving you the love you were trying to purchase. And third, it can create a kind of loneliness that's hard to name. The loneliness of not being fully seen. Because if people only meet the version of you that performs, they never actually meet you. Now, I want to be careful here. The goal isn't to become someone who never wants validation. That's not human, and honestly, it can become its own performance. Look how unbothered I am. Real growth is quieter than that. A healthier goal is this. Validation becomes a bonus, not a requirement. You can appreciate praise without clinging to it. You can handle criticism without collapsing. You can be misunderstood without rushing to explain your entire soul. And the way you get there isn't by forcing confidence. It's by building internal safety slowly. Internal validation means you can recognize your experience as real and meaningful, even if nobody claps for it. It sounds like, that hurt, and it makes sense that it hurt. I'm proud of myself for trying, even if it wasn't perfect. I don't need everyone to agree with me to trust my own perception. I can disappoint someone and still be a good person. This is deeply connected to self-compassion research. When you treat yourself like a person you're responsible for, not a project you're trying to perfect, your nervous system softens. You become less reactive, less approval hungry, less afraid. And that's where the magnetism comes from. Not perfection, but regulation. Let's make this practical. Most validation seeking comes from one of these three places. 1. Fear of rejection. If approval equals safety, then disapproval feels dangerous. Your body reacts like something is at stake because once it was. A gentle practice here is to separate discomfort from danger. Try telling yourself, this feels uncomfortable, but I'm not in danger. I can survive someone's opinion. 2. Unclear identity. When you don't know what you value, you borrow other people's values. When you don't trust your preferences, you crowdsource your decisions. So ask yourself small identity-building questions. Daily, what do I actually like? What drains me? What feels honest? What am I avoiding because I want to look good? Identity gets stronger through tiny, truthful choices, not grand statements. 3. Conditional self-worth. This is the belief. I'm only worthy if I'm impressive, helpful, attractive, successful, easygoing. And if that belief runs your life, you're never done proving yourself. The antidote is practicing worth that isn't performance-based. You can start with one sentence. My worth is inherent. My behavior can improve, but my value is not up for debate. Say it even if you don't fully believe it yet. Belief often follows repetition, especially when it's paired with action. Here's what shifts when you stop needing validation. You become more honest because you're not constantly editing yourself for approval. You become more selective because you stop saying yes to prove you're good. You become calmer because your self-esteem isn't held hostage by someone's mood, and people feel it. They feel less pressure. They feel more room. They feel more truth. That's the kind of presence that makes someone lean in, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you're not trying to. If you want a simple practice, try this. When you notice yourself craving reassurance, before you ask for it, pause. Take one slow breath. Then say quietly, let them have their opinion. Let me have my experience. I don't have to win their understanding. This doesn't mean you never communicate. It means you stop begging to be perceived correctly. It means you stop treating someone else's perception as the final verdict on your reality. It's a boundary made of calm. One more thing. Not needing validation is not the same as being detached. It's not ghosting people to feel powerful. It's not pretending you don't care. It's not withholding warmth so people chase you. That isn't confidence. That's armor. Healthy independence stays connected. Can say, I care what you feel, and I won't abandon myself to manage it. That balance is the work. If you're listening to this and realizing, wow, I really do depend on validation, I want you to respond with kindness, not shame, because the part of you that seeks reassurance is not your enemy. It's usually a younger part, one that learned love could be earned. And today you can start teaching that part something new. You are allowed to be imperfect and still be worthy. You are allowed to be misunderstood and still be safe. You are allowed to choose yourself and still be lovable. When you stop needing validation, you don't become less human. You become more you.